After the assault on the Capitol, social media companies disabled President Trump's accounts. Mr. Trump was suspended from Facebook and Instagram until the end of his term and potentially forever. Twitter temporarily froze his account, and the president, you'll recall, incited the riot by spewing countless lies about the election and voter fraud. And his tens of millions of followers, well, they include members of the conspiracy group QAnon. So we're going to bring in now 60 in 6 correspondent and founder of ... Media, Laurie Segall. She got rare access to QAnon last summer. Take a look.
Trump's going to get reelected.
What if he's not reelected?
Well, he's going to be reelected.
But what if he's not reelected?
If President Trump is not reelected, then that's for the American people to decide if the elections were fair. I think there's going to be a lot of very angry Americans that he wasn't reelected.
And Laurie Segall joins us now. Laurie, good morning to you. I think people need to understand that these social media companies are not like the town square. They're more like a digital bar. You can be thrown out of them, and the president has been. How big of a deal is that?
I think it's a huge deal. In the time I've been covering tech, everybody's been asking the founders of these companies, of Twitter or Facebook, you know, under what circumstances would you ban President Trump? And now I think we finally hit a breaking point. You know, this is, if you look at the First Amendment, you know, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. And all these tech companies, when we've reached out multiple times saying, you know, is this a violation? Is this a violation? This is misinformation. What they'll say, and what Facebook has taken an incredibly hands-off approach. And I think, you know, what they'll say is the public has a right to see some of these figures. But if there's language that incites violence, they will remove it. And I think this was that breaking point.
So then here's the question. Some of the president's allies have been criticized for not calling out his behavior earlier and foreseeing the tragedy we saw this week. Do the social media companies also deserve some criticism for not getting on top of this dangerous situation much earlier?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of folks, it's too little, too late. This has been a conversation. I go back. I remember interviewing Mark Zuckerberg years ago and saying, how does it feel to be editor-in-chief? I mean, this shows the power of technology in shaping media and culture in the conversation. But, you know, people, even internal Facebook employees, have been calling for this to happen for a very long time. There have been multiple examples of this. Twitter's early investor, Chris Sacca, tweeted yesterday, both Facebook and Twitter have blood on their hands for rationalizing terror over the last 4 years. So I do think it's really interesting. You have to look at the timing. You know, you look at the timing of President Trump will be out of office in 2 weeks. You have a new administration coming in, and you have Facebook and Twitter and these big tech companies under scrutiny. So, you know, they're from a new administration. So I think that the timing is also pretty noteworthy as well.
Laurie, as you've reported, so many of these extremist groups essentially live and breathe on social media. What, if anything, do we know about the role social media played in the attacks on the Capitol?
You know, I think this has been coming for a long time. I remember interviewing someone years ago who said our world is becoming a chat room and we are becoming our own avatars. I think we're seeing the rise also of these niche media platforms where people can live out their own truth, because Facebook banned QAnon back in October, but this was a conspiracy group that was allowed to gather and spread misinformation for a very long time. Millions of people have been looking at this information. The pandemic only made it worse. People were home without jobs. They were seeking some sense of belonging. And it took these companies a long time, and it's still taking these companies a long time to get control of this. I'll tell you one noteworthy thing that I heard. I spoke to a source who's close to the QAnon movement who was at the Capitol, and I said, what's happening to the QAnon movement? And he said, you know, now that it's been banned, people are going to private forums like Parler and Gab to gather and to organize. But he said people are also joining militias and beginning to, you know, try to seek a sense of belonging offline. So I think we're seeing a new era now. You know, I think it's they're trying to get control of it, but this isn't going to go away. This is going to manifest itself in a different way.
Laurie Segall, thank you very much for being with us this morning.